Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today, what are we doing? Well, today we're going to work on pork ribs. We did a brisket video a little while back for beginners and you guys really liked it, and I've got a lot of questions about what about ribs? So that's what we're going to do today. So today we got baby back ribs. We're going to smoke on the Yoder YS640. Alright guys, so you're new to making ribs and you want to learn how to make a really good rib and kind of be consistent with it. Well, that's what this video is about today. I'm going to show you how to make a good rib very fast and simple. No store-bought rubs or anything. We're going to put together a homemade rub and we're going to make these ribs fantastic. Alright, so let's get this rub together and let's get these ribs on the pit. Alright, let's go. Alright, so we're going to start off with just a regular shaker bottle here. I ordered a bunch of these on Amazon. They're really inexpensive, but hey, that's what we're going to use. So we're going to start off with a couple of tablespoons of black pepper, guys. So this is just a regular coarse ground black pepper. I happen to use the Fiesta brand. You can use whatever brand you have. We're going to follow this up with some salt. We're going to do 1 tablespoon of salt. So if you caught that, that was a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts pepper, 1 part salt. Now we're going to use a ½ tablespoon of garlic, and this is granulated garlic, guys. So we've got a ½ tablespoon of granulated garlic, and we're going to do a ½ tablespoon of just paprika. Use whatever paprika you have. I just have a regular paprika, fancy paprika. You can use whatever you have, guys. So we've got all of our ingredients in our shaker bottle here. We're going to pop the top on it, and we're just going to shake it up. Get everything mixed around, and just like that, we've got us a nice little rub that we can put onto our ribs to get this done today. So let's get these ribs seasoned. Alright guys, so what I've got here is a rack of baby back ribs that I got from my local grocery store, my HEB. You can use baby backs, you can use St. Louis cut, you can use spare ribs, any of the pork ribs that you want to use. Whatever you want to use, this recipe, this method that I'm showing you can work for any of it. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get this membrane. On the back of the ribs you have a membrane that covers here, and this doesn't really cook up very well. So we're going to take off this membrane, and all I'm going to do is take a knife and I'm going to kind of slide it underneath the membrane right on the bone, and we're going to use a paper towel to try and grab that membrane to pull it off. Sometimes we get lucky, we can pull the whole thing off in one sweep, just like that. Gotta love it when a plan comes together, right? And now at this point, all we're gonna do is just kind of look at any of the stuff that might need to be trimmed off of here. This end here I'm not liking too much, so I'm actually gonna trim it off. Now, anything that you trim off of here, you can actually set aside. You can use it to cook up the meat on it. You can throw it on the pit, eat it later. You could actually, boil it down, make stock with it. Whatever you want to do with it, you can do that. So don't think that this always has to go to waste, guys. So at this point, we are ready to go ahead and get these ribs seasoned. Now, you can use binders if you want. If you want to use olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, grapeseed oil, you can use butter. You can use whatever you want to use. Today I'm not going to use a binder. I'm just going to go ahead and go with it because if it was a little tacky and moist to me already. So we're going to use this rub that we put together, and we're just going to sprinkle this on. And again, guys, always pat. You never rub your rub around. If you rub the rub around, you get uneven seasoning. You start to get splotches and here and there, and you don't really want that. Now we're going to get to our meat side. Same thing, we're going to just sprinkle this on, and you want to sprinkle high, guys, so that you can get a good even coating across the rib. Same thing, we're just going to press in. We got to make sure we get our sides here. Alright, so just like that, we got these ribs seasoned up and they're ready for the pit. Alright, so we just got our ribs seasoned up and they're ready for our grill. Today we're going to be using our Yoder YS640. We're going to be running it with the B&B competition blend pellets, and today we're going to be cooking at 275 degrees. So we're going to keep this very simple. I know there's tons of different methods out there that people follow for ribs, you know, 2-2-1, 3-2-1, you know, there's all kinds of variations. I don't really necessarily pay attention to a 2-2-1 method per se. I try to go by the color. You know, it's going to be the common theme that you're going to find on my channel. A lot of the barbecue that I do the color at first. The first part of that cook is do the color. So we're going to get these ribs on the grill here after it comes up to temperature. But important for right now is the fact that we got our rub onto our ribs, and now it gets a chance to kind of get a sweat. Now, what does that mean, get a sweat? Well, what that means is you get that salt content in the rub onto the meat, and it pulls moisture out of the meat. And so what happens is that moisture comes out, it mixes with the rub, and then eventually the meat starts to pull that moisture back in, which pulls in your rub, the seasoning from your rub, which helps to get more flavor into the meat. So you kind of want to make sure you get your meat seasoned. You want to set it to the side, get your pit, you know, up to temperature, and it gives that meat a chance to kind of sort of absorb some of that flavor in from your rub. So very important there. So anyway, we got our ribs set to the side. They're getting a sweat on. We got this thing fired up. 275, guys, 275. Once the thing comes up to temperature, we'll go ahead and get these ribs on. All right, so here we have our ribs, guys. The thickest part of the rib meat is going to be on this side. This side of the pit is the hottest side, so that's where this is going to go. Thickest part of your ribs to your hottest side of your grill. So once we put it on the rack here, we're going to kind of bunch it together, because the way you put it on the grill is the way it's going to cook. So we're going to put it on here just like this and push it together. We don't want it to be all stretched out and sideways or whatever, so we're just going to do it just like this. So at this point we are ready to cook. We're going to go ahead and get this thing closed up, and we'll come back and check on it in about an hour or so. Alright guys, so hey, our baby back ribs have been smoking away here on our Yoder Y640 for about an hour or so, and we're coming upon what I call the first checkpoint. And what do we want to do here? We want to be kind of fast. We don't want to leave our grill open for a period of time, because the longer you leave the lid open, the longer you're going to make this cook be. So you want to have everything kind of organized for each time you get ready to open your pit to do a checkpoint. So our first checkpoint, we're going to be looking at the rib to see how fast it's cooking. Does it look a little burned on the edges? Does it look raw? If it's looking a lot more raw, maybe it's not cooking as fast as we want it to. So those are the things we're going to look at and kind of determine if we need to adjust our temperature control. We're going to look at the surface of the rib. Is the rib looking really dry? Is it starting to split, which would mean it doesn't have enough moisture on it, which means we're going to spritz it. So today I'm going to be using, I can't believe it's not butter spray. You can use what you want, guys. You can use water in a spray bottle. You can use juices. You can use your, you know, ACV, apple cider vinegar and apple juice. You can use teas. You can use beers, barbecue sauces, whatever you want to use to moisturize your ribs. Feel free to go for it. This is not the only way. One thing about barbecue is there's a million ways to do things. You just have to find the one thing that works for you. So don't let anybody tell you what you're doing is wrong. If what you're doing is working for you, go for it. So use what you want. Today I'm going to be using a butter spray. So we're going to go ahead and pop open this lid on this YS640. We're going to look at these ribs. We're going to see what we need to do. We'll get the lid closed and keep it smoking. So let's check it out. Alright guys, so first thing that I notice is we do have a good split right here, which is telling me our ribs are a little on the dry side right now as it's starting to cook. I still see the redness, the color looks good, it looks dry to touch, it looks like it's actually cooking pretty good. It doesn't look burned around the bones on the ends. So all I'm going to do is just spritz this thing with this butter. You notice I did go a little heavier here where we have the split, so I'm just getting a little bit more moisture there, and we're going to go ahead and close this thing up, and we'll come back and check it in another hour. Alright guys, hey, we're about an hour and 50 minutes into this cook here, and we're going to go ahead and do our second checkpoint. Now, as I said earlier in the first checkpoint, you want to prepare yourself before you get to the checkpoint and get your pit open, and you end up losing heat if you don't have things prepared. So on this checkpoint, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have what we're going to wrap our ribs ready to go with. We're going to use aluminum foil. We're going to make sure that when we wrap our ribs in our aluminum foil, that we're going to wrap it with the shiny part of the aluminum foil facing in. So your ribs are going to lay on the shiny part. Why? Shiny parts of the aluminum foil reflects heat. The opposite side kind of absorbs heat, or it doesn't at least repel it as much, so we can actually get that heat radiating inside where we have our ribs. Secondly, what we're going to spritz with again that we used the first time, if you're going to use it this time with your when you wrap the ribs, you want to have that ready to go. If you decide that you want to make a sweet rib, today we're not doing a sweet rib. I'll do that in another video. Today we're going to keep it nice and savory, but if you're doing a sweet rib or whatever, and you're using sauces and sugars or butters or whatever, you want to have all that ready to go to get it in your aluminum foil, get your ribs in it, get your ribs wrapped, and get them back on the pit. So you just want to prepare yourself. You also want to make sure that whatever you're going to use to handle these hot ribs with, you have it ready to go. Whether you're using gloves or whether you're using tongs or whatever you choose to use, just have it ready to go. So the name of the game is preparation. Have everything laid out ready to go, so that when you open the pit and you get to see the ribs and you get to assess what you're going to do, you're ready to do it right then and there without having to fumble around figuring things out. So with that said, let's take a look at these ribs and let's see what we're going to do. All right, let's go. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, we have a fantastic color going on these ribs, and that's what I'm really looking for. I can see we got that split there, but it's not too bad. Everything is looking great here. I'm happy with the color. I'm happy with the speed of which this is cooking, and so I think it's time we go ahead and get these ribs wrapped up, guys. So let's get them wrapped. Okay, as you can see, we've got our aluminum foil out here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our spray butter and we're going to spray down the surface of this aluminum foil before we put our ribs on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually place our ribs meat side down right on top of this butter on the foil. So let's grab these ribs. So we're just going to place these, as I said, meat side down. These are looking fantastic. We're going to take our butter spray and we're going to spray right over top of these ribs here. Okay guys, now we're going to go ahead and get these wrapped up. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're very careful not to get one of these edges to poke through your aluminum foil. So what I tend to do is I try to give myself a little bit of space in between there and just kind of gently fold it over, so that I know that I'm not right up against the edge of the rib where I could potentially poke a hole. Grab the other side. We're going to do basically the same thing, just gently. Okay, now on the ends we can kind of feel where the ends of the ribs are. So my ends of the ribs are right here, so I know I have this much more space to deal with this aluminum foil. So what I tend to do is just grab it, fold it over, and then gently fold it up like that. We're good to go there. Same thing on this side. We're going to fold it like here and then fold it over. Now we're good to go. We've got our ribs wrapped up in this aluminum foil and we can get it back on the grill. So let's get it back on the grill. Alright guys, so hey, we got our ribs on and they're wrapped, and they've been on now for about 45 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to check them. So as I've done with the other previous checkpoints, we're going to talk about it again. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to check for tenderness now. So how do you do that? Well, we're going to use our temperature probe. If you don't have a temperature probe, it's not the end of the world. Use a toothpick. All we're going to do is we're going to unwrap the ribs a little, and we're going to poke in between the bones into the meat, and we're going to kind of get an idea of how tender the meat is. You want to be very careful not to poke all the way through, because obviously you could poke a hole in the bottom of your foil and then you got a hole, all of your juices and everything are running out of your foil. You don't want that. So be very careful, but we're going to go ahead and check for tenderness in between our bones. I know that a lot of you have hit me up with tons of questions about temperatures and this and that and the other, and I'll be honest with you, I don't ever really pay attention to temperatures on ribs, but today, just for you guys, since you guys are my dog pound and you asked me, so I'm going to use the temperature probe and I'm going to let you know what the temperature is on these ribs. So let's get this thing cracked open and let's check for tenderness. All right, let's go. All right guys, so one of the good things about the way we wrap these ribs is it makes it really easy to be able to check when we're at this point here. So we're just peeling this foil back, exposing our ribs. We're taking our thermopin, and we're just going to slide in right between the bones into the meat there. And it's pretty tender, but I think it needs to go just a little bit longer. Temperature wise, right now we're at 199, 200 degrees, guys. And I think I'm going to need just a little bit more time, especially for this thicker side here. So I think we're going to go ahead and give it probably another 20 minutes or so, 15-20 minutes. So we'll go ahead and just get this gently wrapped back up the way we had it. We'll get this thing closed up, and I'll see you guys again here in about 15-20 minutes. Alright guys, it's been 15 minutes since we last checked these ribs. So we're going to take a look here. And again, we're poking, and our tenderness feels a lot better here. We're reading 202 degrees for you guys that really want to know temperatures. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and flip these ribs over. And all I'm going to do is just take this foil and just kind of make it into a little tray here. And we're going to take our spray butter, and we're going to spray down these ribs. And then we're going to come back with a little bit more of our rub that we put together. And then we're going to get this put back in. Okay, we're going to get this grill closed up, and we'll be back in another 15 minutes. Alright guys, it's been another 15 minutes. And look at there, man. These are looking really good. These have gotten some great color to them. And they feel pretty good. So I think it's time we go ahead and get these guys off. We're going to get them off and get them rested. And I'm going to bring you guys back once I have these off rested and we're ready to cut them. Alright guys, so let's recap what we did today here. So we got us some baby back ribs from our local HEB. We put together our own rub, which consisted of salt, pepper, granulated garlic, and paprika. Very simple rub. We went ahead and pulled the membrane off the back of those ribs, got them seasoned up, and we cooked them on our Yoder 640 with the B&B competition blend pellets at 275 degrees. We went ahead and spritzed with a spray butter, and man, we finished these ribs off. They came out gorgeous, great color to them. They're fully rested, and it's going to be time to go ahead and cut them up, and let's eat some ribs. Alright, so let's get these ribs cut. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got our ribs here, and they came out, like I said, with a really good color. So we're going to get them cut. Now you can actually see the bones on your side, and I don't see them because they're away from me, so you guys can see them. But this is what I tend to do. I'm not a professional by any means. You know, you go to restaurants, you see these guys slicing ribs, man, like it's just no joke. But for me, I turn them over and I expose myself to the bone side so I can see exactly where I need to cut. So we're going to go ahead and start cutting these. Alright, so I got a few of these cut for us, and that's what these are looking like, guys. You see there's plenty juicy there. So man, I would say it's a very simple way to make pork ribs, guys. If you're new to making ribs, this is a very easy way to make a great, fantastic pork rib. So man, let's go ahead and taste these guys. Hey guys, before I taste this, as I always do, I like to inform you, hey, if you like watching barbecue entertainment videos, make sure you check out these couple of videos I got posted right here. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Cheers.